fantastic. Let's head on to the Carolina Panthers and the Detroit Lions. This is all the way up to 9.5 in favor of the Lions, 43-44. If that tells you the sentiment around this Carolina Panthers team, that this line didn't come back down. It was at 8.5. This, by the way, is the other half of the teaser leg for me, guys. The Texans 8.5, the Lions down to 2.5. We don't have Amon-Ra St. Brown out there this week for the Detroit Lions, and this thing is still nearly sitting double digits against this Carolina Panthers team. Steven, look, it's looked absolutely atrocious. The offense is non-existent. I don't really even think it's Bryce Young's fault, though. He's been bad. There's just no dudes out there. We've talked about this as we headed in some of our preseason content. None of these guys can get any separation. You hear this stuff about an 0-4 team saying they're really in search of a wide receiver one. Like, nah, man, just punt on this season. I know you don't have a first round pick, but like just deal with it in the offseason. There's nobody that you want that's available out there for you. Look, I loved the teaser leg with the Lions. It's outside of that range now. I guess you could play a 7-pointer if that's your cup of tea. That's not mine, but it seems about right. I think the Lions, even without Amon-Ra St. Brown, do get back Jameson Williams this week. And honestly, Laporta has looked great for them in the receiving game. Reynolds has actually looked good for them too. So I don't think they're going to have any problem against the Panthers. They're going to win. I just don't know if I want to lay double digits basically with the Lions.
If only Carolina had a receiver like DJ Moore. I mean, what could they have done? I mean, this is teaser leg of the week for me. Right now, it's not sitting there. We did share it in the Discord earlier this week at thelines.com. So be sure to get in there, get the best of the lines early in the week. But I still think there's a chance we get back down to 8.5 here by kickoff, just because of how bad the Detroit injury report is. You mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's a bunch of other guys on that injury report that are key as well. So maybe somebody comes in and takes the points here with Carolina. I'm not optimistic, but there's still a chance, because I could see Detroit kind of just resting guys this week in a matchup that they should be able to dominate here. If Carolina and this offense can only muster 6 points against the Minnesota defense, what are they going to do against the Detroit defense that is 6th in the NFL in pressure rate, despite blitzing at the number 30 rate in the NFL? And that is just stark for Bryce Young and company here. So complete mismatch. I really don't need to get much more into it. Everybody knows Carolina stinks at this point. And I think it's only a month in, but I think we need to start wondering if Carolina made a 3-year mistake here on not just running it back with Steve Wilkes and Sam Darnold and keeping all of those draft assets and DJ Moore as well.
If we look at the injury report, it's not great either. Adam, for the Panthers, Xavier Woods is already out. Dante Jackson is out. You have Steven Sullivan. You have Austin Corbett. Like, it's not great for them either. I don't really know what to say. I mean, I did not think, you said, what were we going to be talking about here in week 5 of the NFL? I didn't think that I would be talking about the Panthers being the worst team in the NFL. I thought they would be bad. I didn't think they'd be the worst team in the NFL. I think the conversation is certainly to be had if they are, in fact, at this juncture, the worst team in the NFL. We thought the defense was going to be good. Defense isn't good. Offense certainly terrible. I don't know what there is to kind of clutch on to really with this team.
No, I'm not going to go as far as Kentucky Hot Takes over there with a 3-year mistake on Carolina. Like, I think we're a little early in the process for that but it has not been pretty. It hasn't been pretty. There's no question about that. There's not a whole lot to add from my perspective, other than the fact that Detroit, to me, is a team that I'm going to be very honest, I still don't see it with Detroit, other than the strength of that offensive line, which I guess means a lot when not a whole lot of teams have a great offensive line. But I'm going to believe it, because I'm not going to go so far against both my eyes and what the metrics say to go out of the way to hold on to some Detroit take from before the year that, maybe we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. No, it's out there right now. And they're a team that by every metric is in the top 10 on both sides of the ball. So I think if you want to weigh into this game and you don't want to lay huge points with a team that does not have its number one offensive weapon, there's a couple ways in. There's 45 on the board out there if you want to play it under. If you just want to try to play it under based on Carolina, go ahead and show me how you think this team's getting to 17 points. Because right now the Carolina team total is 16.5. And I do not see any way against a Detroit defense that is going to have the advantage on the offensive and defensive line situation. I don't see how Carolina's getting there.
I played Laporta over. I do think that Jameson Williams does get some run in this one. I know he's not coming back off of injury, but we've seen these teams when these guys just didn't get in the first month of the season. We've seen them kind of ease them back in. So I was a little hesitant to pull the trigger there. Laporta has looked fantastic for this team. That said, it's gotten steamed up to 53.5 now. It was at 50.5 whenever the news came through about Amon-Ra St. Brown not being out there. I would still only play the over on Laporta. Goff loves throwing to him. He actually runs routes down the field, so you don't actually have to have volume for this number to get home, because Laporta is running like vertical routes, right? I mean, the guy's like running stuff far down the field. So I think that he might end up being the beneficiary here of where Amon-Ra St. Brown was kind of the safety blanket for Goff, that maybe Laporta gets a few of those targets. I think that could be the case. Josh Reynolds also at 43.5. I mean, I know it's Josh Reynolds and it's nothing sexy, and we kind of hated him as like the wide receiver 3 everywhere he's been, but he's going to have to be the de facto one, at least in this game. And 43.5 is a pretty low total for an offense that can move the ball and a defense that stinks. So something to consider on that one as well. Yeah, Adam?
Yeah, just to add in, keep in mind, if you're thinking about receiver overs, this might not be a game where Dan Campbell and company feel the need to run this up. This could end up being a David Montgomery game as well, especially considering Jahmyr Gibbs popped up late in the week on the injury report. So if you want to look another way at it, this could be more of a running game for Detroit by the time they're trying to salt this thing away.